episode of NXT. Pretty awesome, as usual. What's up, everybody? DJ Kaz, and of course, I am back here exclusively to PWFEmpire.com to give you the NXT rundown. The NXT Championship match was it just happened. I'm gonna go over that. We had a bit of an unlikely tag team match to kick off the show, and also we had an interesting debut tonight. Let me know how I'm doing on these NXT rundown, guys. What do you think I need to change up? What do you think is wrong? But yeah, let's go ahead and get into the NXT rundown for tonight. Now, of course, guys, before I get into this rundown real quick, I am going to have to mention and give my my thoughts and my prayers out to everybody who was affected in the Las Vegas mass shooting a couple of days ago. So just pray for them, where I'll be with you guys, and please be well soon. Of course, we kicked off NXT tonight with NXT Tag Team Women's Division action. It was the iconic duo Billie Kay and Peyton Royce taking on the unlikely duo of Ruby Riott and Sandy's Nikki Cross. But the way this match kind of went, it was pretty much it was the very same formulaic layout that they did for the handicap match. It's always interesting because this time it was an actual tag team match and Nikki Cross just didn't show up yet. Because if you actually go back, you think about that match, like the original layout of this, it really was kind of ridiculous on how it was a handicap match and then all of a sudden it got turned into a tag team match all of a sudden. But this one was actually tag team rules. I was completely fine with this overall because, I mean, while it was the very same format for this, I mean, you can't really go wrong, especially because Nikki Cross is just so over with this crowd that I feel as if anything that she does, it's never going to look bad to the crowd, or it's going to or people are going to be questioning it so much, because I actually really enjoyed this match because it felt like an actual tag team match, even though it was the typical one person sales, and then it's the babyface gets the hot tag, but yeah, this tag team match was it was fine. I really don't know where this is going to lead to all four of these women, but hopefully it leads to somewhere in the NXT Women's Championship picture. We then go back to a recap from last week's Lars Sullivan versus Oni Lorcan match, which was one of the best squash matches I have ever seen in my life for about the good eight minutes it was. But yeah, Lars Sullivan, he got interviewed, and I was just turning the corner on this dude until he started talking. You can tell they definitely want to put him on the main roster. And of course, on the main roster, everybody has to learn how to talk on the microphone. But to me, when Lars Sullivan talked, it was all credibility of him being a monster was just put out by water if he was on fire. I know it's a bad analogy, but yeah, I really don't know why he is talking. If he's such a monster and he's brutal, he shouldn't be talking much. He should be letting his actions speak for himself. So as far as that Lars Sullivan interview, I mean, I get why he has to learn how to talk on the mic, but they've been doing good with him so far, just being a monster, and they need to keep that up. Of course, Selena Vega, she is out in the parking lot. She gets interviewed talking about the upcoming rematch between Johnny Gargano and Andrade Almas. Let me just say this. She has just been such a blessing to the Andrade Almas character, who was just literally dying in NXT. He always had the in-ring prowess, but he just never really got going to the point to where it'd be okay, this guy's gonna be he could be in contention for the NXT Championship, because they just never did anything with him in Takeover. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to the match between Andrade Almas and Johnny Gargano, and that definitely did something. Of course, some more recaps from last week's edition of NXT when it was the main event. Adam Cole Baby going one-on-one with Sanity's leader in Eric Young, and had chaos ensue. And of course, Adam Cole, we all know, got the win in his debut, as he should. But we just found out, and I cannot wait for this. In 2 weeks' time on NXT television, we will see the undisputed era of Adam Cole, Bobby Fish, and Kyle O'Reilly face off against Sanity's Eric Young, Alexander Wolf, and Killian Dane in a 6-man tag team showdown. Boy, I cannot wait. NXT, again, people, just knows how to keep viewership in for the people that still watch it, and they keep bringing me back in. So yeah, and I'm glad they're putting 2 weeks out because it builds up the excitement. So yeah, very looking forward to that 6-man tag team match. Up next, Aleister Black is an in-ring action, his rare in-ring appearance, as I like to put it, and he goes one-on-one with the newest signee to NXT in the 2015 Ring of Honor Top Prospect Tournament when he defeated Punisher Martinez, the former CZW World Champion, in Leo Rush. However, before the match gets underway, Aleister Black makes his entrance way, and all of a sudden, the Velveteen Dream is attacking Leo Rush. Now, I thought this segment was very interesting, but honestly, what I would have done. Now, I wouldn't have, like, if you were going to put anybody to get attacked in this spot, it should not have been Leo Rush, in my opinion, because he's the newest signee. I get that they did protect him, but it's like any jobber could really take this spot, and I really don't think it would have made any difference, but it was just the fact since it was a Leo Rush, somebody who is very well known and definitely is a Triple H guy. You could just put somebody else in that spot because you could have saved that, but I'm also glad that Aleister Black didn't beat him like he did by Fisher Kyle O'Reilly. And the segment pretty much just went, Velveteen Dream just attacked him, as I mentioned, and Velveteen Dream does one of the beautiful elbow drops I've ever seen in wrestling, next to who I'm about to get to next. But yeah, Velveteen Dream's like, I'm gonna make you say my name. I did like the way that Aleister Black just didn't acknowledge Velveteen as he was walking up the ramp. This feud's interesting to me, so I can't wait to see what's gonna be coming up in the upcoming weeks of NXT. Now, I mentioned at the top of this episode that we had an interesting debut. And yes, as much as Leo Rush, I went, holy shit. I even went more batshit crazy when I saw the inaugural winner of the Mae Young Classic defeating Shayna Baszler in one Kairi Sane, who went one-on-one with NXT's Aaliyah. Good God almighty. So, of course, in this match early on, Kairi Sane is already over with the NXT Full Sail crowd as usual. And surprisingly enough, Aaliyah actually gets quite a good amount of offense in the match for like a good 2 to 3 minutes until Kairi Sane just gives like a gigantic spear out of nowhere. Now, I will say this. I don't think me personally, I really don't think she needs like the whole get up when she comes out. And plus that the choo train thing that she does when she delivers her Irish whip into the corner. That's a little corny to me, but hey, but the crowd is into it, so what do I know? Now guys, I'm gonna have to leave this up to you because I need y'all to vote on this. Who has the better elbow drop? Velveteen Dream or Kairi Sane? Because one of them's gonna have to change that finisher. But yeah, and of course Kairi Sane got the win, as she said, and of course she is part of the Fatal 4-Way multi-person match for the vacant NXT Women's Championship. So can't wait to see what's going to be coming up in the upcoming weeks with Kairi Sane now being part of NXT. Now, guys, of course, before we get to the main event and we talk about that, we do have 2 upcoming matches for next week's edition of NXT. We'll have the Triple Threat qualifying match to determine who will be joining Kairi Sane in the Fatal 4-Way for the NXT Women's Championship. And this Triple Threat will include Nikki Cross, Liv Morgan, and Peyton Royce. Can't wait. That should be a good little Triple Threat match. And also, the rematch from NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 3 when Johnny Gargano goes one-on-one with Andrade Cien Almas with Zelina Vega at ringside. Of course, it is main event time here on NXT. Roderick Strong, the challenger, taking on the newly crowned champion, of course, one in Drew McIntyre for the NXT Championship. This match definitely starts off very technical, to say the least, for a good 2 to 3 minutes, I'd say. And then it was when we got back from the commercial break, it was then they were just screw it, fuck it, we're just gonna brawl, and we're just gonna just give a lot of elbow strikes, a lot of palm strikes, and then there was one moment outside where Roger Strong, who he usually does his backbreaker on the knee, but he does the backbreaker to McIntyre, but it's on the steps, and you can just tell by the grimace of McIntyre's face that hurts. And let me just go ahead and say, McIntyre is a big son of a bitch and has definitely gotten his body right since the last time we saw him in WWE. And then, of course, after coming back from the third commercial break, Drew McIntyre all of a sudden gets a good amount of offense, in which McIntyre has one of the best big boots in wrestling next to Luke Harper and JBL, in my opinion. And this is where, again, they just like did a lot of pop strikes. There was actually at one point in the match where McIntyre actually delivered a sick set out powerbomb. I thought that was very beautiful. And then we actually at one point got a superplex from the top rope from Roddy to Drew McIntyre. McIntyre kicked out a lot of crap in this match, which shows the intestinal fortitude of McIntyre as the NXT champion, of course. And then at one point, we went to the top rope again, but it was McIntyre delivering one of my favorite moves in wrestling, the Celtic Cross, of course, made famous by one Fit Finlay. We then all of a sudden, Roderick started hitting his signatures on Drew McIntyre, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, a lot of high knees right to the face. McIntyre delivered a headbutt, a very vicious headbutt, and at the point in the match, Roddy actually got the sick kick in, and he hit on Drew, and then Drew McIntyre kicked out of that. They're now on the outside. Roderick Strong tries to go for another high kick, but then McIntyre catches him, and McIntyre actually toss Roderick Strong out onto the rape post. And then, of course, as we get towards the end of the match after that ring post spot, and this is where I actually thought the match was very clever, because honestly, a move, when you toss somebody on the rape post, it should hurt somebody to the point to where they're not able to do anything anymore. And then McIntyre, it looked like he didn't want to do it on his face, but then he hit the future shot DDT. He looked Roddy straight in the eyes. He's like, "I'm sorry, man. I respect you. We're friends, but I have to do it to retain this championship." Even Roddy was looking back at him going, like, "Don't do this, man. Do what you have to do. Do what you have to do." And then, of course, Drew McIntyre hits his version of the sick kick. And then McIntyre, shockingly, I didn't think it was going to happen, pins Roderick Strong 1, 2, 3 clean in the middle of that NXT ring. And then, of course, towards the end of the match, Drew McIntyre, he extends his hand in respect to Roderick Strong. I don't know why the crowd's saying, hug it out, hug it out. They're not that good of friends. But, of course, Roderick Strong shakes Drew McIntyre's hand. They're shaking hands. They respect each other. And, of course, Roddy should have that look in his face like, what the hell, man? But they shake hands. And, of course, there's Roderick Strong. He goes up on the apron. But who is he greeted by? Undisputed Era's CFO, Cole, Fish, and O'Reilly. And it seems as if we're getting a bit of a hint of, and maybe a little bit of ROH tenure, like Jordy Forces. Even though I ultimately do not think Roddy will become a part of this, but it's a nice little tease for NXT, which is something that they don't do often, which is what I greatly appreciate about that the most. NXT and overall, guys. Watch the NXT Championship match. It was fantastic. I'd say watch the opening women's tag match. I was going to say Lio Rush taking out Aleister Black, but we didn't get that. So, yeah, I thought it was a solid episode of NXT Tonight overall. All right, guys, I have to get out here, and I have to go get some chores done. So I will be back here next week to talk about Gargano versus Andrade Almas, the NXT Women's Division qualifying match. Can't wait to talk about that next week. So I will be back next time here on the NXT Rundown exclusively to PWF Empire.